Welcome to the graffiti jungle. Paulo Pulingwe. Benvenuti nella giungla del graffiti. Questo è Impostore Rockstar. It's the fake Rockstar chat show. Pensieri Tangentiali. Formerly known as Tangential Thoughts Chat Show. Shout out to Bailey. Shout out to Bailey. Podcast for Cigar. Cigar Talk Podcast. We will be doing soggettos and not sessione. So, soggetto is subject in Italian. S-O-G-G-E-T-T-O. Soggetto. Waiting on questo è soggetto uno. Subject one. First subject. Primero. Come primo soggetto. I gotta figure that out. Primo soggetto. First subject. That's gonna be top two. Primo soggetto. That sounds nice. Primo soggetto. Anyway, we'll figure that part out. Cross that bridge once we get there. Once we get the first cigar of the year. All right, we didn't have a cigar January 1st, and today's January 2nd, and so it's like 2 hours left of January 2nd. Anyway, this supposed to be your movie review. Everything Everywhere All at Once. After about an hour and 45 minutes. After about an hour and 45 minutes and 35 seconds. So, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a long movie. I'm actually kind of glad I got this. Like, it's finished. I'm finishing it today. Let's see. In this next few little parts, I think I kind of finished up on the last one, but so this is about 20 minutes later, and so after an hour and 25 minutes or so. Now, originally, when the movie first started, so the movie's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, and so when the movie first starts, it does say Part 1, Everything, and now it's saying Part 2, Everywhere. So it's like Everything Everywhere. So I'm assuming within the last whatever few minutes is going to say Part 3, All at Once. So the first part with Everything was the longest part of the movie, but it's about Evelyn Wang, which is our main character, who owns the laundry shop, the laundromat, coming into this whole thing of, it started off with her having, she's running her laundromat. Her dad's coming in town. Her daughter has a girlfriend. Her daughter wants to introduce the girlfriend to her granddad, which is her dad, Evelyn Wang's dad. Her husband, just happy-go-lucky guy, always being positive. The IRS, she's in trouble with the IRS. She's supposed to be giving them. She has a meeting with them. They got to give in some type of paperwork and this, that, and the third. She's getting audited by the IRS. Her daughter has a girlfriend. Her husband's this happy-go-lucky guy. She's running this business with him. So the first part of the movie, Jobu Tupaki is they're trying to figure out. They're trying to stop Jobu Tupaki, which actually ends up being her daughter. And the thing about her daughter was like the people in the Alphaverse learned how to, connect and jump into different timelines and different stuff like that. And so her daughter was this like soggetto, this subject, and her daughter learned how to do it all and this and the third, but they went too far with it. So her daughter is like really, how do I say, like, once the whole thing with the jumping timelines and universes and this and the third, her daughter can just freely, at will, do anything and all things and just whatever. So anything that she wants to happen can happen and will happen at any given point in time. She can be anywhere, anytime, all the time, whatever, right? But her daughter put everything inside of a bagel. And so it was like, bro, what the hell? What you doing with this bagel? Her daughter put everything inside this bagel. And so it was like, we're trying to stop her. So after an hour and 25 minutes, it gets to this part where finally she understands that Evelyn Wang, she understands that, I can do this and I can tap into this universe. I can tap into that universe. So the first part one with everything, she learns basically like she can tap into any universe, these alternate versions of herself who are really good at this and the third. And so she's having this standoff with her daughter, and then she squares up with her. And after she squares up with her, it's fractures. It go like literally, and like the different versions of her, like pop up, like the chef version, the actress version, this person, all these versions of her like pop up, and then all of a sudden she like, blah, she throws up, and then after she throws up, she basically just passes out, and Dar's like, oh well, but then it zooms out, and it says the end, right? So it zooms out, and so that's the movie screen, and then she's actually in the audience. So in this version, in that timeline, she was like she's the actress at her movie premiere type of thing. So there's that version, but she's tapping into all these different universes and things like that, and like the people are kind of sort of in the same type of thing. Like, how do I say? This person, like the IRS lady, is in the other universes, and she may be different, whichever. Like, in one of the universes, she's actually with if you understand what I'm saying, she's actually with the IRS lady, and the IRS lady is like, but in that universe, they have alternate, they don't have like the same limbs. Like, these are hot dogs. So in that universe, their fingers are hot dogs. So there's that. Then that's just one of the universes that they just kind of like put in there or whatever. So it does have the movie does have like this playful comedy side to it that I actually do pretty much enjoy. I'm going to mention that in a little bit. But so it does that. It zooms out of the movie screen. It says the end. But then I'm not sure how it exactly. I think it goes back into like the present day type of thing or whatever. And so mind you, she was supposed to be having this little like Chinese New Year party or whatever, and she wanted people to come, and which I think was another reason her dad was supposed to be in town or whatever. And but then what was actually happening? I guess in like one of the universes, she starts to like, she has this conversation with her daughter, and her daughter's like, okay, hit me. And, but I forget the whole little segue, how this actually like kind of sort of happens. But it basically gets to a moment in a time where it's almost like they're showing like this connectivity with all the different universes. And so, for instance, if she got hit by a car in one universe, but she's acting in another, like she's on stage in a play, like she might trip in the play, but she got hit by a car in another universe. And so it's like showing some connectivity within that. I'm forgetting exactly how like they segue into this, but it basically gets to a point where in every universe, she basically gets to a point of like, fuck this. And she basically like destroys everything. It doesn't matter what's going on. Like, whatever's going on at this one time, like, she basically like just destroys it. So like, when the IRS lady comes in, she was like, oh, get her. Like, arrest her. She comes in during the party, and she's going to arrest her. And when she goes to arrest her, she like, man, she grabbed a baseball bat and then breaks the window of her laundromat. She's like, fuck this, basically. But in every universe, she does something to like sabotage whatever's going on. So there's that. And then what else do you have after this? So she basically, like, I forget the segue part of it, but basically in every universe, she sabotages her life. Like, there's a point in time she sabotages her life in every universe. But then there's a moment her daughter's like, hit me. And she goes to do it or whatever, but then like her daughter like falls, ow. And then she falls on the couch, and then the dad comes in, and she's like, "Oh no, we're just having a little conversation." And then so basically, she started talking to the daughter, and I think that's what kind of sort of happened. Yeah, I think that's kind of sort of what happened. Like during the party, her daughter walks up to her. Her daughter and her daughter's girlfriend walk up to her, and she says something to her, and then the daughter goes, like, it does the little, I can't do it right now because I got this thing on my head. Um, but her daughter's like, she said something to her daughter, and her daughter's like, you know? And so she was like, Becky, go help my mom with the party. And she's like, now? Yeah. So it does that little thing. And then, so she knows that version of her daughter can pop up or does pop up. Like, so she's that aware, like, she's just like, okay, this version of my daughter's gonna pop up. You're that version. And so that's when they jump into the whole little, they hit me and she sabotages everything. And so basically, but so she asked the daughter, okay, she was like, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of all of this? If you're not looking for me so that we can fight. What are you looking for me for? You know, so she was like, now mind you, she had to build up to the point where she could, she recognizes that there's a whole bunch of timelines. The whole, like, nothing matters at all. And so she just that's what she just kind of don't care. She's like, F it. I wrote my life for the plot of it, right? So she's like, F it. And so come on. But she's just like kind of sort of learning. But she doesn't actually say, like, the difference between her and her daughter can control it. Her daughter can just be like, oh, I'm here, I'm there, make this happen, make that happen. Her daughter seems to have more control over it. She don't seem to have that much control over it yet. She just like, she's aware that she can, like, or she's aware that there are other universes and other versions of her, and that, you know, oh, I can download a skill from this universe. There's a version of me that has this skill, and I can download from that universe. There's a version of me with this skill I can download from that universe. And so she's just aware of that type of thing. But the first part of the movie is called Everything. Next part is called Everywhere. So part 2 says Everywhere. So, like, from the end of the joint where it's like the end in the movie, then it's her and her daughter, and like, so this next little sequence of like events, a series of unfortunate events. I just remember that book, but I don't think I ever read that book. Anyway, they're like going back and forth. So she was like, but her daughter was like, okay, yeah, I didn't want to. Oh, that was the whole reason I was talking about that. She's aware that she can do all this timeline stuff, but she's not necessarily in control over it. But her daughter is, and her daughter was just like, okay, yeah, I'm not looking for you to fight you, or I wasn't trying to make this whole destroy everything. And like, I don't know why everybody was so scared. I'm trying to destroy everything. But she was just like, I wanted to find someone who could understand and feel the same things I feel and see the same things I see and understand. So her daughter basically was just saying, like, she's just now, the Evelyn Wang is the mother. She's the main character. She's just now coming into it, but her daughter has been in it for a while. And so the thing is, she was like, every moment is fractured. Never really there, never fully present. Right? So for her, she feels every universe, because Evelyn was like, just bring me back my daughter, this and the third. She was like, she basically told her, she's like, she is her daughter. Everything her daughter has ever felt, she's felt. So she was like, she's like, she is your daughter. Like, she's everything your daughter ever felt. And so one of the things about her is Jobu Tupaki. I think I'm finally saying it right too. That name is actually, like, as you're watching the movie, you're gonna hear it. Like, if you just watch the movie straight just one time, it's gonna take you a couple times for you to remember actually, like, yo, bro, what's the name? And am I actually saying it right? Jobu Tupaki. So, Yosono, I'm Jobu Tupaki. So I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I'm Jobu Tupaki. So, yeah, her daughter's explaining, like, I'm never fully present because I'm always in another verse. I'm feeling every multiverse, every universe. I'm feeling it. I'm in every universe all at the same time. I'm never fully present in any moment. There's rarely ever a moment that makes sense at all. So she says that. And so it's like she's trying to get, so she's like, I just want somebody who can understand and see for how I feel. If I'm everywhere all the time and I feel everything, she's like all the emotions, every event, like I'm everywhere all the time. And so she was like, I'm never fully present. Nothing ever really makes sense. It's just a lot of confusion. It's just a lot of whatever all at the same time, just experiencing everything, being everywhere all at the same time. So she was like, you know why I made this bagel? So the bagel is when she put everything inside the bagel. And so she was like, maybe if I could finally, like, she was like, like she wants to finally die. Like, but she was like, but maybe with you here, she's like, I'm not sure, but maybe with you here, I don't have to do it alone. So then the mom is like, no, I'm just gonna go back to, she's gonna go back to her husband, right? Cause like now she's like tapping back into her original whatchamacallit, and she's like, her silly husband, like, so she's calling her husband silly, and this and the third, and so, like I knew that was one of the whole things about it. Like eventually it was supposed to be just her appreciating her husband in this and the third. So like even on one timeline, right? On one timeline, both her and her husband, well, in one timeline he's not her husband, but they still like fell in love with each other. So how do I say this? He gets rich. Both of them get rich, right? Both of them get rich, but they didn't marry young. And so on one, like in one, she kind of mentions it. So in the other timeline, she said something about their daughter, and he was like, so, but in this timeline, he doesn't know that, and so she's like, he's like, you mentioned that our daughter and this and the third, and he was like, I wonder what our life would have been like. I wonder what our life would have been like if we did get together when we were young, and if we got married and stuff like that. And so she basically tells him, and it's funny because she basically tells him, she's like, yeah, like if we did get married when we was young, we would be living in a tiny apartment, broke as fuck. She was like, if we got married young, we'd have been living in a tiny apartment, broke as fuck. And so this and the third, and in the laundry, we had a laundromat business. So it's those type of things. It's those type of things. He's like, I wonder. She's like, you don't gotta wonder what would have happened. It would have been this, and it wouldn't have been this. We wouldn't be rich right now. This type of thing. But even then, it circles back to that moment, and he's like, you know. So now it's like this. The next little part of the movie that I'm on right now is like he never really had like a whole bunch of talking moments at one time, or whatever. So right now in each of like these little universes, he's like, it's a switch where he's like having to like talk herself. So like the last few part was the daughter, I guess, kind of, so is more focused with the daughter, but now he's having like to talk a little bit more. And so on one jank, she like stabbed him, and then he's like, this is the most relatable quote I just saw. I'm gonna come back to this one. But in another one, he's talking to her like in a version where they're both rich, but they didn't get married and they didn't have a kid or do that whole little thing. They went set their separate ways. They're outside. He's in a suit and she in her dress or whatever, and he's smoking a cigarette. And he was like, you know, that whole, whenever I'm looking at the positive side of things, it's not because of this and a third. It's because it's a conscious choice to look at the positive side. And he was like, damn, what the fuck he said? He said something about just like, it's necessary to survive. Like him looking at the positive and the bright spots of everything in every situation. Like you can, like if you ever know somebody that's like that, that's all like, I've met somebody who also mentioned like there are certain people who are just always positive. And it's just like, it's a low-key kind of sort of like a superpower. Like, bro, they always optimistic. They always happy or this and the third. But it's like, he was like, it was not necessary to survive through all this and the third. But he's like smoking a cigarette. And so he's like, it's necessary that I always like this and the third. He was like, it wasn't because of this and the third. It was like there was a level of word, and he was like, yeah, I could be focused on the negative shit. I'm messing up. He says this in a more eloquent way, but he was like, I could be looking at the negative shit, but it's fucking necessary. I'd rather be looking at the positive side or something like that. He's like, it's just to get through all this instead of just like caving in and giving in to the negativity of a situation. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm just gonna just look at the positive side, the bright side, just like whatever. So one of him saying that, but the most relatable thing was the other version, and I don't even understand this version. I don't know what the heck was going on with this one, because like in the other one, like I said, like she basically does something to like sabotage her whole thing. Like in one of the universes, like I never seen a movie Ratatouille, but they were talking about Ratatouille or whatever, and so basically like I would assume I never saw the movie Ratatouille. But I would assume that it has something to do, like the raccoon was teaching the rat how to cook or something like that. But I think the raccoon was inside the hat or something like that. It's supposed to be like a reference to that. But I never seen that movie. I never seen Ratatouille. But they was talking about that, and then so in one of the versions she's like a hibachi chef, and so she's a hibachi chef. And there's this other guy. So like one day, I forget what happened, but she like messed up or something. They're like, I'm gonna give your spot to Chad. And then Chad was like, and so she walks into the kitchen and she takes Chad's hat off, and there's a raccoon under his hat helping him to whatever cook the food. And then he's like, oh no, she's seen too much in this and the third. That whole thing happens. Um, but that's so. But the most relatable one, the most relatable quote right now was when, what the fuck? The most relatable quote was when, so I don't know which version of her and her husband and timeline that one is, but she like stabbed him with like this piece of glass or something. And anyway, but like he's like saving the day or just trying to stop everybody. He's like, everybody's fighting in this and the third. But he basically says, oh my gosh, what does he say? Oh, this is the most relatable thing ever. He was like, every day, no, he was like, all day, I don't know what's going on. And somehow, I feel like it's my fault. And that was the most relatable thing, because it's like, there's one more thing about rocks. I gotta talk about the rocks. But the rock thing happens before this. He was like, all day, I feel like, he's like, I don't know what's going on. And this is the most relatable thing ever, because it's like so true. All day, I don't know what's going on, but somehow I feel like it's my fault. And it's the most relatable thing ever, because because the movie also has this, and talk about how unimportant you are. But you feeling like, you stress, you worry, you this, that, and the third. You got all these negative feelings. And it's like, ain't none of this you're not important, ain't nothing doing with you. There's nothing about you that makes anything important. Like, ain't none of this your fault. There's nothing that's like, whatever, right? So, then there was this other cool part. Now, this was actually like a cool part of the movie, bro. So, when they do the whole little, I think when she goes to hit her daughter, and they do like this whole little fight, part of it, she's like, and it turns into like a cartoon, and then it goes into this little cartoon animation, and then part of it is like real anime type animation, but then part of it is like scribble cartoon animation, like when a third grader, 5, 7-year-old is drawing, and it's like, bro, it was really, that part was really cool. That part was really cool. They're delving with it, and they had this whole other part where it's like, it's like the screen keep changing, and so it's basically showing you all the multiverses, all the universes, and this and the third, right? And so it's like just changing, but it does a whole bunch of changes, right? It's not like 5 or 6. It's like 50 to 75 to 100 type of slides, like those are the things that you kind of sort of appreciate. Like, dang, they really, and they're all different. Like they and like, because it goes in such a way that you can kind of sort of like tell, like, okay, nah, there's an actual difference in each of these slides and each of these scenes. Mind you, matter of fact, I'll even say that they're all scenes, right? There's like, bro, there's a difference in each of these scenes. Like they're vastly different in such a way as you can tell that, right? But then, like they might do like I'm saying, like 10 is a lot, right? If I flash like, if I flash like 10 different scenes, that's one thing. But they're doing a lot. and it goes on, and it goes for like for a decent period of time, like for at least a few seconds, right? So they do that, and then after that, uh, there's one though, right? And so of all the other existences, there's at least another timeline where it's like no life form, right? It's no life, and it's kind of just still, and it's kind of just quiet. And so even in that life form, I thought this part was cool. I actually thought this part was like pretty cool, and it's kind of funny. Um, it's like her and her daughter are both rocks, and then they go with the whole, yeah, we just knew our Earth was the center of the universe. Then we found out our Earth revolves around the sun, and there's multiple suns. Now they say, now I've heard of 12 suns, but they said there are trillions of suns. So it's one of those like there's multiple suns, and so like with our universe, and so then there's this whole like anyway. So like in one universe, her and her daughter are rocks, and they're telling and they're telling like yeah this whole thing and like now we revolve around the sun and there's multiple suns and she says like trillions of suns and so she's like how nothing matters. She was like every time they find something out, it's about how insignificant, how small and stupid we are. And like that point kind of emphasizes that like every time there's like a new discovery, it's just emphasizing of how small, insignificant and stupid we are as humans. And it just emphasizes that every time. It's like, well, I wonder what the next discovery is going to be, right? Um, so it was that, and then after that, um, there was that, and then let me see after that. That was like a funny. It was humorous and a little bit insightful, but the whole there's now this is there's been multiple times I've heard there are multiple suns. Now, at first I heard it was 12 suns. Now I'm hearing that there's trillions. So it's like, might be multiple suns. You know what I'm saying? So they talked about that, and it was just funny, just how unimportant we are as humans. Every scientific discovery just says that we are so much smaller. We're so small, and we keep getting smaller. That like every discovery that's like actually made it just shows us how much small we are, how insignificant we are to think that anything that we do matters. So like there's that emphasis. So yeah, that's where I'm at now in the movie. That's where I'm at now in the movie. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, man. So I think I got like 20 more minutes. I got like 20 more minutes, and so far, it's been all right. It has been all